So the topic when Manasi spoke to me and she asked me as to what can be the topic, and I immediately thought, let us have a session on this topic, and that is, should all the IPOs be backed by the cash flow discounted cash flow method. So what is the objective of this session that we have? The objective of this session is, number one, to understand if the purpose for which the Ministry of Corporate Affairs rolled out the company's registered valuers and valuation rule 2017, has this been fulfilled, specifically with regard to the IPOs. Number two, to understand the legal provisions relating to valuations as per the Companies Act 2013, SEBI's ICDR Regulation 2018, and Ind AS 113 on fair value measurement, more so for listed companies. So, what are the provisions as regards to the valuation under the Companies Act and in the SEBI regulations and as per the Ind AS 113, and that is what we will understand. Then number three, the purpose is to understand the valuation approaches and methods as per Ind AS 113 and valuation standards by IVSC and ICAI. Then we would look at it to view post IPO performance of few companies in the past on the stock markets. Since we are talking about of the fact that why there are so many companies on the stock markets which have failed miserably, and as a result of that, what has happened, the hard earned money of so many retail investors has got wiped out to a very large extent. So we would also take a review of, or we'll view some of the companies which have failed miserably on the stock markets post their IPO and what kind of returns they have given. We will look at that. Then we would also see to understand as to why IPO debacles like that of Reliance, Power, LIC और पेटीएम और जोमेटो हैपन्स. तो हम सभी को मालूम है कि हमने देखा कि LIC which is a government organization, such a powerful organization, and the whole world was gung-ho about the LIC IPO. But what has happened to the LIC IPO? Till date, this is trading at a huge discount. Same is the case with Paytm. Paytm today is trading at less than 25% of its IPO value. Same is the case with Zomato. So ऐसा क्या होता है कि ये कंपनियों में क्या गड़बड़ होती है? What is wrong with the valuations of these companies that such kind of debacle happens when they are listed on the stock market? Then we would look at valuation methodologies deployed by some of these companies. I am sure all of you, आप में से सभी ने कभी ना कभी ये जानने की कोशिश की होगी कि ये जितनी सारी कंपनियां जो IPO लेके आती हैं वो उनकी क्या मैथडोलॉजी वो डिप्लॉय करते हैं, किस तरह से वो अपने वैल्यूएशंस करते हैं, किस तरह से अपनी IPO की प्राइस को डिसाइड करते हैं. दिस इज़ वॉट वी विल अंडरस्टैंड, एंड आई एम श्योर फ्रेंड्स, जब हम इसको देखेंगे तो आपके ध्यान में आएगा कि दैट इज़ वन रीज़न एज टू वाई सम थिंग्स आर गोइंग रॉन्ग विद मैनी ऑफ दीज कंपनीज. नाउ द क्वेश्चन इज, can these IPO failed companies take recourse under the judicial pronouncements with regard to their misplaced valuations? तो वो रिलायंस पावर हो या LIC हो या पेटीएम हो या जोमेटो हो या न्याका हो या डिलीवरी हो, कोई सी भी कंपनी हो और जिनके की स्टॉक प्राइसेस आर करंटली ट्रेडिंग एट अ वेरी ह्यूज डिस्काउंट टू द IPO प्राइस. सो अगर उनको कोई टेक्निकली या लीगली उनको चैलेंज करने की कोशिश करे तो सवाल ये है कि कैन दीज कंपनीज टेक रिकोर्स अंडर द जुडिशियल प्रोनाउंसमेंट्स made by Supreme Court or the High Courts or the tribunals, and that is what we will understand. Should the judiciary regulators take a different view in view of so many IPO failures hurting real investors? Now please remember, when we look at some of the judicial pronouncements with regard to the valuation, where the valuations were challenged by different people in the High Court and in the Supreme Court and in the tribunal, in all the cases you would see that the High Court and the Supreme Court and the tribunals have given the verdict in favor of the वैल्यूएशन प्रोफेशनल। और सारे केसेस में उन्होंने कहा, कोर्ट्स ने कहा है, जुडिशरी ने कहा है कि कोई वैल्यूएशन अगर एक कॉम्पिटेंट वैल्यूएशन प्रोफेशनल के द्वारा दिया जाता है तो हमें कोई उसका कोई राइट नहीं है कि हम उसमें इंटरवीन करें। एंड देयरफॉर व्हाटएवर वैल्यूएशन इज गिवन बाय ए वैल्यूएशन प्रोफेशनल, इट हैज़ टू बी एक्सेप्टेड. Now, this is the view that emerges from all the legal pronouncements, judicial pronouncements that we read. But the question is there a time where the judiciary needs to take a different view? Is there a time that the regulators need to take a different view? Because अगर किसी रिटेल इन्वेस्टर का 75% पैसा साफ हो जाए, it is not a good sign for the stock market, it is not a good sign for the economy, it is definitely not a good sign as far as the investors are concerned, but otherwise also it's not a very good sign, and that is what we would look at. Should there be a responsibility and accountability as regards IPO valuation? तो और हम समझ के लेंगे कि ख़ास तौर से IPO का जो वैल्यूएशन होता है उसमें क्या क्या खामियां हैं. नाउ प्लीज़ रिमेंबर द होल एक्सरसाइज, द पर्पस ऑफ दिस होल एक्सरसाइज really speaking is not to find out the weaknesses or find out something wrong which is happening. The purpose of this exercise, of this session, is to collectively understand the process and find out as to what are the weaknesses into the system, and so that those weaknesses can be removed, and thereby the valuations of these companies should really become fair. So that is what we will understand as to what kind of responsibility and accountability can be fixed in terms of IPO valuations. And finally, of course, all this boils down to one question, and that is, should every IPO valuations be backed by discounted cash flow method? So friends, this is the objective of this session that we have. This is the objective of this session that we have. Ultimately हमें ये समझ के लेना है कि क्यों ऐसे IPOs फेल होते हैं, उसके फेल होने के पीछे क्या कारण है. और मैं चाहूँगा कि हाँ, ये जो सेशन है वो इंटरेक्टिव हो, बिकॉज मेरा जो थॉट प्रोसेस है कि भाई अल्टीमेटली हमको वी हैव टू यूज़ दिस सेशन एज द सेशन ऑफ ब्रेन स्टॉर्मिंग, राइट. सो इट्स नॉट दैट वॉट एवर आई एम सेइंग इज़ द गॉस्पल ट्रूथ. एट एनी पॉइंट इन टाइम अगर आपको लगता है कि मैं जो कह रहा हूँ उसमें कुछ लैकिंग है तो आप मुझे ज़रूर करेक्ट करिए, एंड आई वुड बी वेरी हैप्पी टू हियर फ्रॉम यू. So let's look at, as I said, let's look at the legal provisions under different statutes as far as the valuations are concerned. And we start with section 247, which is on valuation of registered valuers, and that is under chapter 17, which is registered valuers in Companies Act 2013. Now section 247 subsection 1 of Companies Act says where a valuation is required to be made in respect of any property, stocks, shares, debentures, securities or goodwill or any other assets herein referred to as the assets or net worth of a company or its liabilities under the provisions of this act, that means the Companies Act, it shall be valued by a person having such qualifications and experience and registered as a valuer in such manner on such terms and conditions as may be prescribed and appointed by the audit committee or in the absence by the board of directors of that company. तो ये जो section 1 of section 247 है, what does it say? It says any valuation with regard to any security, if it is to be done under the Companies Act, now this valuation has to be essentially done by a registered valuer, and registered valuer meaning we understand, and that registered valuer has to be appointed by the audit committee of the company, or in case if there is no audit committee in that company, it has to be appointed by the board of directors. So friends, I am sure all of us are very clear कि कोई भी valuation अगर Companies Act में करा जाना है तो वो valuation has to be done only by a registered valuer, and I would like all of you to please make a mental note of it, because this section 247 is very relevant as far as our discussion is concerned. Now this subsection 2 of section 247, it says the valuer appointed under subsection 1 shall make an impartial, true and fair valuation of any asset which may be required to be valued. So section 2 of section 247 puts a responsibility, puts an obligation on the part of the registered valuer, and that is he has to make an impartial, true and fair valuation of the asset which he is required to be valued. Number 2, exercise due diligence while performing the functions as a valuer. And number 3, make the valuation in accordance with such rules as may be prescribed and which have now been prescribed. So this is what is we need to keep in mind as we move forward in this respect, and that is section 247 subsection 1 of the Companies Act makes it very clear any valuation that is required to be done as per the provisions of the Companies Act, that valuation has to be done by a person who is a registered valuer. Now, what are the provisions under the SEBI regulations? So we need to look at the regulation 6 sub regulation 1 of SEBI ICDR, and it talks about eligibility requirements for an initial offer. और मैं आपकी जानकारी के लिए बता दूं कि SEBI एक्ट के आने से पहले in India we had another regulator, and that was known as Controller of Capital Issues, and the Controller of Capital Issues at that point in time would do the fixation as to at what premium a company can come out with the IPO. So this job was done by the CCI, and CCI would follow a particular formula. So at that point in time it was thought by the corporate world कि जो CCI जो प्रीमियम अलाउ करते हैं वो प्रीमियम शायद एडुकेट नहीं होता है corporates के लिए, and that is why at that point in time the reforms were brought in and SEBI came into existence. And SEBI, when it came into existence, it kind of started with the regime of free pricing. And as part of the free pricing also, please remember the regulation 6 sub-regulation 1 of SEBI ICDR, issue of capital and disclosure requirements. What does it talk about? And this is what again you must make a mental note of it, and you can see the difference between regulation 6 sub-regulation 1 and sub-regulation 2. So what the regulation 6(1) says, an issuer will be eligible to make an initial public offer only if it has net tangible assets of at least 3 crores of rupees. That is number 1. So यानी कि as per the regulation 6(1), the company needed, for a company to come out with a public issue and do the issue at a premium, it needed to have a net worth of at least 3 net tangible assets of at least 3 crores of rupees, of which not more than 50% are held in the monetary assets. That of course is all right, we need not worry about it at this point in time. Number 2, what the sub-regulation 1 of regulation 6 says, it says it has an average operating profit of at least 15 crores. And please pay attention here, यानी कि जो regulation 6(1) है वो क्या बोलता है, वो बोलता है कि अगर किसी कंपनी को अपने IPO को प्रीमियम पे प्राइस करना है तो इस कंपनी का it should have an average ऑपरेटिंग प्रॉफिट ऑफ एटलीस्ट 15 करोड़, कम से कम 15 करोड़ का प्रॉफिट होना चाहिए, एंड दैट इज ड्यूरिंग द प्रीसीडिंग 3 years of 12 months ईच. यानी कि दिस कंपनी शुड हैव एन एवरेज प्रॉफिट इन लास्ट 3 full years ऑफ 15 करोड़. यानी कि इस कंपनी ने पिछले 3 सालों में प्रॉफिट करना चाहिए फॉर दिस कंपनी टू कमांड प्रीमियम व्हेन दिस कंपनी इज कमिंग आउट विद पब्लिक इशू, एंड दैट इज एज पर रेगुलेशन 6 सब रेगुलेशन 1. The clause number C says it has a net worth of at least 1 crore rupees, and that is fine. So please remember, but look at the amount, it is just 1 crore. The net worth should be just 1 crore. And the clause D is कि अगर वो कंपनी ने अपना नाम चेंज किया होगा तो there is a condition कि minimum 50% turnover should have been revenue should have been post the name change. So वो साल में वो जो 50% से ज़्यादा टर्नओवर कंपनी के नए नाम के हिसाब से होना चाहिए. So this is your sub-regulation 1, and I am sure you have noticed. Look at the sub-regulation 2. अब जरा ध्यान से पढ़िए इस बात को, and what it says an issuer not satisfying the condition stipulated in sub regulation 1 shall be eligible to make an initial public offer only if the issue is made through the book building process and the issuer undertakes to allot at least 75% of the net offer to qualified institutional buyers and to refund the full subscription money if it fails to do so. अब क्या चीज़ समझनी है हमको ये समझना है कि सब रेगुलेशन 1 के हिसाब से अगर आपको आईपीओ करना है एट ए प्रीमियम तो आपके पास में 3 करोड़ की टेंजिबल एसेट्स होनी चाहिए, 1 करोड़ का आपका नेटवर्थ होना चाहिए और पिछले 3 सालों में आपका एवरेज ऑपरेटिंग प्रॉफिट 15 करोड़ का होना चाहिए। तो अगर ये आप 3 कंडीशंस को मैच करते हैं देन ओनली यू वुड बी एबल टू कम आउट विद ए पब्लिक इश्यू एट ए प्रीमियम। लेकिन अगर आप ये 3 कंडीशंस को मीट नहीं करते हैं, यानी कि आपके पास में 15 करोड़ का एवरेज प्रॉफिट नहीं है, फॉरगेट अबाउट दी टेंजिबल एसेट्स, फॉरगेट अबाउट दी नेटवर्थ, अगर आपके पास में 15 करोड़ का ऑपरेटिंग प्रॉफिट नहीं है पिछले 3 सालों में, एवरेज ऑपरेटिंग प्रॉफिट नहीं है इन लास्ट 3 years, यू कैन स्टिल कम आउट विद अ प्रीमियम provided you are doing it through the book building process and things like that. And remember, that is what unfortunately is the crux of the whole problem that we are facing today with regard to the IPOs. Now let's look at the provisions under the Ind AS 113. So Ind AS 113, which is on a fair value measurement. What does Ind AS 113 says? And please note, Ind AS 113 says, number 1, that there are only 3 approaches. Number 1, you can use the income approach. Number 2, you can use the market approach. And number 3, you can use the cost approach, and which is very, very clear, and that is Ind AS 113. But at the same time, remember, Ind AS 113 does not tell you as to which one you have to go for in a particular situation. It does not tell you, but it gives you 3 approaches of valuation. What Ind AS 113 gives you? Ind AS 113 gives you a fair value hierarchy, and that is what we need to understand. So Ind AS 113 gives us a fair value hierarchy, and what this fair value hierarchy is, this fair value hierarchy का मतलब ये है कि Ind AS 113, which is on fair value measurement, it prescribes or it talks about 3 levels of input. यानी कि आप एक कंपनी हैं, आप वैल्यूएशन प्रोफेशनल हैं, आपको एक कंपनी का वैल्यूएशन करना है, आपको किसी एसेट का वैल्यूएशन करना है, आपको किसी लायबिलिटी का वैल्यूएशन करना है, आपको किसी कंपनी का वैल्यूएशन करना है। तो वो कंपनी के वैल्यूएशन के लिए हाउ शुड यू गो अबाउट इट, and that is the hierarchy, fair value hierarchy, which is given in Ind AS 113, which is on fair value measurement. Now what this hierarchy is, and that is what we need to understand. This hierarchy is, number 1, it talks in terms of level 1 input. And what is level 1 input? Level 1 input का मतलब ये है कि जब आप किसी एसेट का वैल्यूएशन कर रहे हैं, जब आप किसी कंपनी का वैल्यूएशन कर रहे हैं, और अगर वो कंपनी लिस्टेड है, तो आपको उस कंपनी के वैल्यूएशन के लिए सबसे पहले जो इन्फॉर्मेशन यूज करनी पड़ेगी, या जिस बेसिस पे आपको उस कंपनी का वैल्यूएशन करना पड़ेगा, दैट इज गोइंग टू बी द कोटेड प्राइस ऑफ द कंपनी विच इज ऑन द स्टॉक एक्सचेंजेस वेयर इट इज लिस्टेड. सो दैट इज योर लेवल इनपुट 1. यानी कि आप वैल्यूएशन कर रहे हैं कंपनी, और ध्यान से सुनिए बिकॉज ये बहुत जरूरी है, एक कंपनी का वैल्यूएशन कर रहे हैं एंड दैट कंपनी इज लिस्टेड ऑन ए स्टॉक एक्सचेंज, और उसका अगर आपको वैल्यूएशन करना है तो व्हाट यू हैव टू डू, यू हैव टू टेक द कोटेड प्राइस ऑफ दैट कंपनी एंड यूज दैट कोटेड प्राइस फॉर द वैल्यूएशन ऑफ दैट कंपनी. दैट्स योर लेवल इनपुट 1. नाउ लेवल इनपुट 2. नाउ व्हाट इज लेवल इनपुट 2 अबाउट? लेवल इनपुट 2 अबाउट इज कि आपको एक कंपनी का वैल्यूएशन करना है. अनफॉर्चुनेटली दिस कंपनी इज नॉट लिस्टेड ऑन एनी ऑफ द एक्सचेंजेस. तो अब आप इस कंपनी का वैल्यूएशन कैसे करेंगे? तो इसका मतलब क्या है? इसका मतलब ये है कि देन यू मे बी गिवन असाइनमेंट टू डू द वैल्यूएशन ऑफ ए कंपनी विच इज अ प्राइवेट लिमिटेड कंपनी और विच इज अ पब्लिक लिमिटेड कंपनी, बट इट इज नॉट लिस्टेड ऑन द स्टॉक एक्सचेंजेस. तो ऐसे केस में आप उस कंपनी का वैल्यूएशन कैसे करेंगे? तो obviously label 1 input is not available. That means quoted price of this company is not available. So what is the option that you have? And according to Ind AS 113, the option that you have is to use the label 2 input. और लेवल 2 इनपुट का मतलब क्या है? लेवल 2 इनपुट का मतलब है इनपुट्स अदर देन कोटेड प्राइसेस, other than quoted prices included within the level 1 that are observable for the asset or liability either directly or indirectly। क्या मतलब है कि अगर आप एक प्राइवेट लिमिटेड कंपनी का वैल्यूएशन कर रहे हैं, आप एक पब्लिक लिमिटेड कंपनी का वैल्यूएशन कर रहे हैं जो कि लिस्टेड नहीं है, लेकिन आपको उसका वैल्यूएशन तो करना है। सो व्हाट कैन यू डू? यू कैन यूज द लेवल 2 इनपुट। और लेवल 2 इनपुट का मतलब क्या है? लेवल 2 इनपुट का मतलब ये है दैट यू फाइंड आउट अ कंपेरेबल कंपनी, you find out a company which is more or less of the same type of the company that you want to do the evaluation of, एंड मालूम करिए कि ऐसी कोई कंपनी स्टॉक मार्केट में लिस्टेड है क्या, और अगर ऐसी कोई कंपनी स्टॉक मार्केट में लिस्टेड है तो आप क्या करिए, यूज द कोटेड प्राइस ऑफ दैट कंपनी एज द प्रॉक्सी फॉर द वैल्यूएशन ऑफ योर टारगेट कंपनी। एंड अब आप क्या करिए, अब आप आइडेंटिफाई करिए कि जो टारगेट कंपनी है जिसका कि आपको वैल्यूएशन करना है, और जो कंपेरेबल कंपनी है जो कि लिस्टेड है स्टॉक मार्केट में, ये दोनों कंपनियों में क्या क्या डिफरेंसेस हैं, और उन डिफरेंसेस के लिए आप जो कोटेड प्राइस है उसको एडजस्ट कर लीजिए, मॉडरेट कर लीजिए, एंड दिस इज हाउ यू विल अराइव एट दी value in case of a company which is not listed using the level 2 input as given in the index 113, which is on fair value measurement. Now it does not stop here, so you can have another situation, third situation. And what is the third situation? थर्ड सिचुएशन यह है कि आपको एक ऐसी कंपनी का वैल्यूएशन करना है जो कि लिस्टेड नहीं है, स्टॉक मार्केट में लिस्टेड नहीं है, और दुर्भाग्य से आपको इस कंपनी की कंपेरेबल कंपनी भी नहीं मिल रही है, यानी कि ऐसी कोई कंपनी आपके ध्यान में नहीं है जो कि लिस्टेड है और इसके जैसी है, ताकि आप उस कंपनी के नंबर्स, उस कोटेड प्राइस को यूज कर सको टू कम टू द वैल्यू ऑफ दिस कंपनी। देन व्हाट इज द ऑप्शन दैट यू हैव? Now the option that you have is to use the level 3 inputs as given in index 113 on fair value measurement। और लेवल 3 इनपुट का मतलब क्या है? लेवल 3 इनपुट का मतलब यह है कि कोटेड प्राइस अवेलेबल नहीं है, ओके, कंपेरेबल कंपनी अवेलेबल नहीं है, ओके, यानी कि ऑब्जर्वेबल डाटा अवेलेबल नहीं है, तो कोई बात नहीं। अगर दोनों ऑप्शंस आपको अवेलेबल नहीं हैं तो आप कैसे करेंगे वैल्यूएशन? आप वैल्यूएशन करेंगे उस कंपनी का यूजिंग द अनऑब्जर्वेबल डाटा अबाउट दैट कंपनी और अबाउट दैट एसेट और अबाउट दैट लायबिलिटी। तो ये अनऑब्जर्वेबल डाटा का मतलब क्या है? अनऑब्जर्वेबल डाटा का मतलब ये है कि इस कंपनी के बारे में कुछ भी इंफॉर्मेशन आपको पब्लिक डोमेन में अवेलेबल नहीं है, तो आप खुद उस इंफॉर्मेशन को क्रिएट करिए, खुद उस इंफॉर्मेशन को जनरेट करिए, और उस इंफॉर्मेशन को जनरेट करके फिर आप कंपनी का वैल्यूएशन कीजिए। अब इसका मतलब क्या है? व्हाट इंफॉर्मेशन विल यू जनरेट for the purpose of valuation of this company? The information that you will generate for the valuation of this company, which is a private limited company or an unlisted company, is you will use the discounted cash flow method। क्या मतलब है? मतलब ये है कि आप उस कंपनी के प्रोजेक्टेड कैश फ्लो बनाएंगे, और प्रोजेक्टेड कैश फ्लो बना के उस कंपनी का प्रेजेंट वैल्यू मालूम करेंगे, और प्रेजेंट वैल्यू का जो टोटल होगा दैट विल बी द वैल्यू ऑफ दिस कंपनी फॉर विच इज नॉट लिस्टेड ऑलरेडी, or there is no comparable company in such a case। and I would urge all of you to please make a mental note of this also। तो पहले मेंटल नोट आपने क्या किया? पहला मेंटल नोट आपने किया किसके बारे में कि भाई वैल्यूएशन कौन कर सकता है अंडर द कंपनीज एक्ट सेक्शन 247 सबसेक्शन 1? ओनली अ रजिस्टर्ड वैल्यूअर कैन डू द वैल्यूएशन। दैट इज नंबर मेंटल नोट दैट यू हैव टू मेक, नंबर 1। Number 2 is the level 1 input, level 2 input and level 3 input। level 1 input का मतलब क्या है कि कंपनी लिस्टेड है, कोटेड प्राइस को यूज कर लो, कोई इश्यू नहीं है। कंपनी अनलिस्टेड है, प्राइवेट लिमिटेड है, लेकिन उसके कंपेरेबल कंपनी अवेलेबल है, तो आप कंपेरेबल कंपनी को जो कोटेड प्राइस है उसको यूज करके उसका वैल्यूएशन कर लीजिए। एंड थर्ड पॉइंट इज कंपनी लिस्टेड नहीं है, कंपनी की कोई कंपेरेबल कंपनी भी नहीं है, तो आप उस कंपनी का वैल्यूएशन कैसे करेंगे? आप उस कंपनी का वैल्यूएशन करेंगे बाय यूजिंग द डिस्काउंटेड कैश फ्लो मेथड, बाय यूजिंग द अनऑब्जर्वेबल डाटा, यानी कि उस कंपनी के बारे में आपको कुछ ऐसी इंफॉर्मेशन क्रिएट करनी पड़ेगी जिसको के बेसिस कर लेके आप वैल्यूएशन कर सकें. एंड व्हाट दैट इंफॉर्मेशन इज गोइंग टू बी, दैट इंफॉर्मेशन इज गोइंग टू बी द cash flow statement of that company, projected cash flows of that company, and the cost of capital of that company, and this is how you will arrive at the discounted cash flow method. So these are the provisions under the Companies Act, under the SEBI regulations, and under the Ind AS 113, which is on fair value measurement. Now friends, let us take a view of the post IPO performance of some of the companies. And remember, I understand as per the data of Economic Times, since 2008 till this date, out of 168 companies or thereabout which came out with IPO, out of those 168 companies, 100 companies today are trading at the discount of their IPO price. And here are few examples. Paytm today is quoting at a discount of 75%. Zomato is quoting at a discount of 11%. LIC is quoting at a discount of 32%. Reliance Power is quoting at a discount of 96%, 97%. RateGain Travel Technologies is quoting at a discount of 33%. CarTrade Technology is trading at a discount of 70%. Krishna Diagnostics quoting at a discount of 51%. SGS Enterprise quoting at a discount of 14%. Fino Payments Bank quoting at a discount of 67%. Aditya Birla Sun Life AMC quoting at a discount of 40%. Suryodaya Small Finance Bank quoting at a discount of 67%, and so on and so forth. Now please remember, these discount that we see on your screen, now these are not merely numbers. Now these are indicative, these give you an idea as to the retail investor who must have invested their hard money into the IPOs of these companies, hoping that they would be able to get some return on their investment in these IPOs. But what are they getting? Are they getting any return? They are not getting any return. On the contrary, their capital itself is also wiped off to a large extent. To give you some more information about it, as I was saying, that according to the Economic Times data, out of 164 or 170 IPOs that came since 2008, almost about 100 out of them today are trading below their issue price. Of the remaining stocks that have given positive returns, only 44 companies have given double-digit returns. And the benchmark Sensex, on the other hand, during this period has almost doubled. So this is again to highlight the fact as to what kind of heartburn or what kind of losses the retail investors have suffered as a result of the valuations that these companies came out with. So what we need to examine as to what is wrong with the valuations. How is that these companies, and please remember, ये जितनी companies जिनकी हम बात कर रहे हैं, all these companies, उनके सारे के सारे issue are managed by 10, 12, 13, 14 merchant bankers, and all those merchant bankers are supposed to be the financial wizard, and plus you have so many agencies which are part of the entire process of the public issue. तो इतना सब कुछ होने के बावजूद, how is that these companies are quoting at such a huge discount? तो सवाल ये है कि why IPO debacles like that of Reliance Power, LIC, Paytm or Zomato happen? And the reason, friends, is it's because of valuation methodology used by these companies. And I'm not sure as to how many of you have ever gone through the red herring prospectus which these companies come out with before the IPO, and how many of you have ever tried to see as to what methodology they have used for the purpose of deciding the IPO price, and who has done the fixation of the IPO price. I'm not sure as to how many of you have done, but today I'm going to share with you as to how, in case of some of these companies, the price was fixed for the IPO. So number one, it is because of valuation methodology used by these companies, and I am sure it will be quite a surprise or quite a shock for all of us to know. नंबर टू, वी अंडरस्टैंड इट वेरी वेल कि जनरली जब एक कंपनी आईपीओ कर रही है तो व्हाट इज द वैल्यूएशन मैथडोलॉजी द कंपनी इज सपोज टू यूज फॉर फिक्सेशन ऑफ आईपीओ प्राइस टू अराइव एट ए फेयर प्राइस. अल्टीमेटली हम सभी को मालूम है वैल्यूएशन का मतलब क्या है. वैल्यूएशन का मतलब है टू अराइव एट ए फेयर प्राइस, फेयर वैल्यू. तो उसके लिए देर आर प्रोविजंस अंडर द कंपनीज एक्ट दैट आई हैव डिस्कस विद यू. देर आर प्रोविजंस अंडर द वैल्यूएशन स्टैंडर्ड्स दैट ऑल्सो आई विल डिस्कस विद यू, एंड देर आर प्रोविजंस अंडर द इंड AS 113 दैट आई हैव ऑलरेडी डिस्कस विद यू. सो कंपनीज एक्ट के हिसाब से आपको मालूम है सेक्शन 247 सबसेक्शन 1, एंड आई एम रिपीटिंग फॉर द पर्पज ऑफ क्लैरिटी, एंड दैट इज वैल्यूएशन हैज टू बी डन ओनली बाय अ रजिस्टर्ड वैल्यूअर. Valuation standards of by IVSC or ICAI talks in terms of only three approaches. Please remember only three approaches, and what those three approaches are? Those three approaches are either it can be income approach, or it can be market approach, or it can be cost or the asset approach. So only these three approaches can be used for the purpose of valuation as per the valuation standards issued by IVSC or by ICAI. Ind AS 113 on fair value measurement, I have spoken with you, and we have seen that Ind AS 113, which is on fair value measurement, talk in terms of three levels of input: input level 1, input level 2, input level 3, and input level 3. Sorry. Now, what these companies have done, तो ये तो उन्होंने करना चाहिए. तो कंपनीज एक्ट के हिसाब से, वैल्यूएशन स्टैंडर्ड के हिसाब से, इंड AS 113 के हिसाब से, दिस इज व्हाट दे शुड हैव डन. दिस इज हाउ दे शुड हैव डन द वैल्यूएशन ऑफ द आईपीओ प्राइसेस. बट व्हाट हैव दे डन, एंड व्हाट दे हैव डन इज completely different from what is required. So this is how they should have done. How they should have done, number one, अगर आईपीओ कंपनी आईपीओ के लिए आईपीओ लेके आ रही है तो सीधी सी बात है आईपीओ है, इसका मतलब ये कंपनी इज नॉट लिस्टेड ऑन द स्टॉक एक्सचेंज ऑलरेडी. सो ये कंपनी ऑलरेडी लिस्टेड नहीं है ऑन द स्टॉक एक्सचेंजेस. दैट मीन्स दिस कंपनी डज नॉट हैव द कोटेड प्राइस, and if this company does not have the quoted price, obviously this company cannot use the level 1 input, which is clearly established as per Ind AS 113. अब लिस्टेड नहीं, पहली बार आईपीओ लेके आ रही है, ऑलरेडी लिस्टेड नहीं है, तो पहला ऑप्शन द लेवल 1 इनपुट इज रूल्ड आउट. व्हाट इज द सेकंड ऑप्शन? सेकंड ऑप्शन इज टू यूज द लेवल 2 इनपुट. लेवल 2 इनपुट क्या है? फाइंड आउट अ कंपेरेबल कंपनी. Find out a comparable company which is listed on the stock exchange, and you would see all these companies that we are talking about, all these companies that came out with IPOs in the recent past. You would notice that all these companies, it would be just impossible to find out a comparable company which is same as like these companies and which is also listed on a stock exchange. तो कंपेरेबल कंपनी का जो ऑप्शन है, लेवल 2 इनपुट का जो ऑप्शन है, वो ऑप्शन भी अवेलेबल नहीं है. तो आप क्या करेंगे? What is the third option available to all these companies that we are talking about, which came out with public issues and whose shares today are trading at a discount? What these companies should have done following Ind AS 113, what these companies should have done? These companies should have used level 3 input. And what is level 3 input? Level 3 input is nothing but use of the unobservable data. और unobservable data का मतलब क्या है? Unobservable data का मतलब ये है कि वो information जो public domain में available नहीं है for the purpose of valuation. और अगर कोई information public domain में available नहीं है for the purpose of valuation, then what you do? Then you create your own information. And how do you create your own information? You create your own information by projecting the future of this company, future profitability of this company. So all these IPOs that we are talking about, what they should have done, they should have projected their future cash flows for all the years, or for 10, 20, 30 years as may be possible for them, and using that cash flow, using the projected profitability, they should have worked out their projected cash flow, and then using their cost of capital, they should have arrived at the intrinsic value of these companies, and based on these intrinsic values, these companies should have decided as to what should be their IPO price. And I'm sure if that is what would have been done, the fiasco or the debacle that we see in respect of all these companies trading at a huge discount today, that will not happen, and that is what it is. So as per Ind AS 113, if level 1 and level 2 inputs are not available, then the valuation has to be carried out using level 3 input, which is nothing but discounted cash flow method, which is very, very clear and crystally clear. Now let us understand what these companies have done. अब इन कंपनीज ने क्या करना चाहिए था वो मैंने आपसे डिस्कस किया, और अब इन कंपनीज ने वैल्यूएशन के लिए क्या किया. नाउ लेट मी शेयर दैट विद यू. सो हियर इज कंपनी जोमेटो. अब जरा देखिए कि जोमेटो ने का जो, एंड दिस पेज दैट आई एम शेयरिंग इट विद यू, रिमेंबर इट इज कमिंग फ्रॉम द रेड हेरिंग प्रैक्टिस, रेड हेरिंग प्रॉस्पेक्टस ऑफ दिस कंपनी. तो ये क्या है? बेसिस फॉर ऑफर प्राइस. नाउ व्हाट डज इट रीड? सो व्हाट डज इट से? इट सेज द ऑफर प्राइस will be determined by our company in consultation with the selling shareholders and the managers on the basis of assessment of market demand for the equity shares offered through the book building process and on the basis of quantitative and qualitative factors as described below. अब देखिए तो इसमें कोटेड प्राइस यूज हो रही है? नहीं हो रही है. लेवल 2 इनपुट यूज हो रहा है. कंपेरेबल कंपनी की कोटेड प्राइस यूज हो रही है? नहीं हो रही है. डिस्काउंटेड कैश फ्लो मेथड यूज हो रहा है, विच इज द थर्ड ऑप्शन दैट वाज अवेलेबल टू देम बिकॉज दे आर नॉट अ लिस्टेड कंपनी एंड दे डू नॉट हैव अ कंपेरेबल कंपनी ऑल्सो. सो द ओनली ऑप्शन दैट दे हैड वाज टू यूज द डिस्काउंटेड कैश फ्लो मेथड फॉर द पर्पज ऑफ अराइविंग द फेयर प्राइस ऑफ द IPO. बट व्हाट दे हैव डन, हु इज डिसाइडिंग द प्राइस? Is a registered valuer deciding the price? It doesn't appear to be so, at least from the reading of this information which is given by them in the public document, and that is red herring prospectus. Let us look at as to what kind of information, qualitative information that they have shared and the quantitative information that they have shared, which will make any discerning investor come to a good understanding कि इस कंपनी का क्या प्राइस होना चाहिए. तो अब देखिए क्या बोलते हैं ये क्वालिटेटिव इंफॉर्मेशन के बारे में. क्वालिटेटिव इंफॉर्मेशन के बारे में बोलते हैं, वी बिलीव दैट सम ऑफ द क्वालिटेटिव फैक्टर्स एंड आवर स्ट्रेंथ्स which form the basis for computing the offer price. So remember, quoted price is not the basis. Comparable price is also not the basis. Discounted cash flow is also not the basis. So what is the basis for deciding the offer price? The basis for deciding the offer price is the qualitative factor, and what that qualitative factor is, strong network effects driven by our unique content and transaction flywheels. Now there is, I would agree that strengths of any company or whatever they may be can always be built into the valuation of that company, can always be built into the fair price of that company. There is no doubt about it. Now, but tell me, when you read a point like this, strong network effects driven by our unique content and transaction flywheels, how do you convert this qualitative factor into some kind of quantification of a value? And that is something which has to be looked at and analyzed. Number 2, our widespread and efficient on-demand bi-periodical delivery network, our technology and product first approach to business, our strong customer brand which is recognized across the length and breadth of India. So these are the qualitative factor that they have used for the purpose of offering, for the purpose of deciding the price of their company, offer price of their company. Now let's look at what are the quantitative factors, and I would like all of you to please apply your mind and think कि ये जो क्वालिटेटिव फैक्टर्स जो कंपनी ने दिए हैं और जो क्वांटिटेटिव फैक्टर्स जो मैं आपको दिखाने वाला हूँ, अगर आप सभी और हम सभी वैल्यूएशन प्रोफेशनल हैं तो आप ज़रा सोचिए इसके बारे में और बताइए कि क्या ये नंबर और ये इन्फॉर्मेशन को देख के इस कंपनी का वैल्यूएशन किया जा सकता है, और अगर किया जा सकता है तो लेट्स फाइंड आउट एज टू हाउ इट कैन बी डन. एंड अगर नहीं किया जा सकता है देन वी ऑल्सो वी टॉक अबाउट दैट दिस इंफॉर्मेशन कैन नॉट बी यूज फॉर द पर्पज ऑफ डिसाइडिंग द ऑफर प्राइस और द वैल्यूएशन ऑफ द कंपनी. So let's look at what is the quantitative information. Now please remember, ये जो कंपनी है जोमेटो, उसका जो शेयर था 1 रुपए का था, और वो 1 रुपए का जो शेयर था, एज आई वुड रिमेंबर, द इश्यू प्राइस वाज 70, 71 और 72 रुपीज़, यानी कि 1 रुपए का शेयर के ऊपर 71 रुपए का प्रीमियम चार्ज किया. 1 rupee share is sold out at a premium of 71, 72 rupees, 70, 71 rupees. Now, what is the quantitative information? A quantitative information, what they have shared in the red herring prospectus is the earning per share, and look at their earning per share. So how is their earning per share? They have given the earning per share, which is basic earning per share, and the diluted earning per share, which is understood, which is fine. But let's look at as to how is their earning per share for the 9 months. It is negative 1.27. How is their earning per share for the financial year ended on 2020? For the year 2020 is negative 5.09. How is their EPS for the year 19? Minus 2.39. How is their earning per share of 2018? 0.33. Now please remember, not only their earning per share is negative, but if you look at from the year 18 to 19 to 20, it is also increasing. It is also increasing. Now tell me, if a company's earning per share is negative and which is as high as 5.09, how can, using this quantitative information, anyone can come to the conclusion as to this company should charge a premium of 70-71 rupees, and that is what is something that has to be looked at by all concerned, all these stakeholders, including the regulators, and that is SEBI as well as the IBBI, and also Ministry of Corporate Affairs. So there are some more information given here, and so the second category of the quantitative information that they have shared in the red herring prospectus, and what have they shared about? They have shared about the price earning ratio, and you can see it in front of you. So what is the price earning ratio of this company? So based on the basic EPS for the financial year, they have given a dot. That means PE ratio at the lower end of price base as on number of times is 0, and same is the case based on the PE ratio based on the diluted EPS is again dot. That means that figure is not decided by them, and it is not disclosed by them.
The screen is not visible.
Screen is not visible. Okay, no worries. Just give me a second. Just give me a second. Yeah, okay. Just give me a second. Okay, sure. No worries. I'll. Oh, okay. Yeah, just give me a minute. Let me set this right. So I'm sharing the screen. So if I share the screen, by default, if I change to any file, I suppose that file will also be seen by you. Okay, so let's just experiment. Can somebody please tell me what is that you are seeing on your can somebody please tell me what do you see on your screen? Anyone? So can someone tell me as to what do you see on your screen, please? Very good. So you are saying basis for offer, and that is for the company called Zomato. And let me just change this and show something else so as to know that this. Okay, now what do you see? Okay, can you Shweta, can you please tell me what is that you see now on your screen? Very good, excellent, excellent. So now what I have done is I am sharing the screen. So as and when I change my screen, I suppose your screen will also change accordingly. And Shweta, please feel free to interrupt me in case if you do not see my screen on your screen. You can just what you spoke to me just now. You can please do that, and I would be immediately make sure that you are able to see whatever I am showing to you. Okay, so now that you are able to see the document which is basis for offer by the company Zomato, and you have heard me already, but just to keep you on the same page कि ये जो कंपनियां हैं, जिन कंपनियों के IPOs हुए और जो ये सारी कंपनियां जोमेटो है, पेटीएम है, LIC है और भी सारी कंपनियां जिनके बारे में मैंने आपसे भी बात करी, वो सारी की सारी कंपनियां आर कोटिंग एट अ डिस्काउंट टू देयर इश्यू प्राइस. And we have understood कि very well, and that is as per the Companies Act, as per the SEBI regulations, as per the Ind AS 113 on the fair value measurement, what are the methods or the approaches available for the purpose of valuation. So there are only three approaches available for the purpose of valuation, and that is income approach, market approach, and the cost approach. And as per the Ind AS 113, it is also very clear कि कोई भी कंपनी अगर वो लिस्टेड है तो वो कोटेड प्राइस यूज करेगी फॉर द पर्पस ऑफ वैल्यूएशन. अगर वो लिस्टेड नहीं है तो वो एक कंपेरेबल कंपनी फाइंड आउट करेगी और वो कंपेरेबल कंपनी की कोटेड प्राइस को लेके एडजस्ट करेगी टू डू द वैल्यूएशन ऑफ दिस कंपनी. एंड नंबर 3, अगर ये दोनों ऑप्शंस अवेलेबल नहीं हैं, सो व्हाट दिस कंपनी विल डू, दिस कंपनी फॉर द पर्पस ऑफ डूइंग वैल्यूएशन विल यूज द लेवल 3 इनपुट. And what is level 3 input? It is nothing but discounted cash flow method. That means you create your own information. So really speaking, what should have been done? All these companies should have used the discounted cash flow method. And if they would have used the discounted cash flow method, they would not have arrived at the kind of valuations that they arrived at. Their valuations would have been more realistic, more closer to the ground. As a result of that, the retail investor would not have suffered the kind of losses that they have suffered. So ये उन्होंने करना चाहिए था. लेकिन जब आप इन कंपनियों का रेड हेरिंग प्रॉस्पेक्टस खोल के देखते हैं और जब उसमें आप मालूम करते हैं कि व्हाट इज द बेसिस, अभी जोमेटो है 1 रुपए का शेयर, 71-72 की इश्यू प्राइस, तो ये 70-71 रुपए का जो प्रीमियम लिया है वो किस बेसिस पे वर्कआउट किया है, कैसे उसको अराइव किया है. तो जब हम ये मालूम करने की कोशिश करते हैं तो हम जाते हैं रेड हेरिंग प्रॉस्पेक्टस में, और रेड हेरिंग प्रॉस्पेक्टस में जाते हैं तो क्या इन्फॉर्मेशन दी है? इन्फॉर्मेशन दी है द ऑफर प्राइस विल बी डिटरमिन्ड बाय आवर कंपनी in consultation with the selling shareholders and the managers on the basis of assessment of market demand for the equity shares offered through the book building process, and on the basis of quantitative and qualitative factors as described below. क्या मतलब है कहने का? कहने का मतलब यह है, as per section 247(1), the valuation of any company as under the provisions of the Companies Act has to be done by a registered valuer. But who is doing the valuation here? Who is deciding the fair price or the offer price here? It is not the registered valuer, it is the management of the company, or it is the selling shareholders of the company. And then what should have been the basis for the purpose of valuation? The basis for the purpose of valuation should have been the quoted price, or the comparable company quoted price, or the cash flow discounted cash flow method. But what is the basis for the purpose of valuation here? It is the qualitative factors and the quantitative factors. What are the qualitative factors considered by the company for the purpose of deciding a premium of 71 rupees on a issue on a share of rupee 1? What are the quantitative factors considered? It is strong network effects driven by our unique content and transaction flywheels. Number 2, our widespread and efficient on-demand hyperlocal delivery network, and so on and so forth. So that is your qualitative factor. अब क्वांटिटेटिव फैक्टर्स क्या क्या यूज किए हैं, क्वांटिटेटिव फैक्टर्स सो एज टू अराइव एट द फेयर प्राइस और द ऑफर प्राइस और द फेयर वैल्यू ऑफ द इश्यू प्राइस। तो क्या क्वांटिटेटिव फैक्टर हैं, तो उसमें पहले उन्होंने शेयर किया है अर्निंग पर शेयर। अर्निंग पर शेयर में अब उन्होंने आपको अर्निंग पर शेयर दिया है फॉर द ईयर 2019 एंड हाउ मच वाज इट, इट वाज 0.33 नेगेटिव। यानी कि कंपनी की जो अर्निंग पर शेयर है, मैं समझ सकता हूं अर्निंग पर शेयर, ऑल ऑफ यू अंडरस्टैंड इट वेरी वेल। किसी भी कंपनी का अर्निंग पर शेयर उस कंपनी के लिए बहुत ही की इंपॉर्टेंट नंबर है। और क्यों की इंपॉर्टेंट नंबर है, बिकॉज कंपनी की जो सारी स्ट्रेंथ है वो ईपीएस में रिफ्लेक्ट होती है। तो जिस कंपनी का अर्निंग पर शेयर जितना ज़्यादा होगा उस कंपनी का वैल्यूएशन उतना ज़्यादा होगा, लेकिन ज़्यादा ऑन दी पॉजिटिव साइड एंड नॉट ऑन दी नेगेटिव साइड। लेकिन यहाँ पर हम क्या देखते हैं, यहाँ पर हम देखते हैं कि इस कंपनी का जो अर्निंग पर शेयर है फॉर द ईयर 2018 इट इज़ 0.33 नेगेटिव। For 2019, it has increased to 2.39, which is again negative. And for 20, it has again increased to 509, which of course is negative. तो आप मुझे बताइए कि अगर एक कंपनी का अर्निंग पर शेयर नेगेटिव है और अगर वो कंपनी का अर्निंग पर शेयर नेगेटिव है तो किस बेसिस पर ₹1 का शेयर की इश्यू प्राइस ₹72 हो सकती है। And that is the basic question that has to be answered. ओके, सो ठीक है, अर्निंग पर शेयर में दम नहीं है, कोई बात नहीं। तो दूसरा इंफॉर्मेशन दिया है उन्होंने। दूसरा इंफॉर्मेशन क्या दिया है, दूसरा इंफॉर्मेशन दिया है अबाउट दी पीई रेशियो। एंड वी ऑल अंडरस्टैंड पीई रेशियो इज अगेन अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट नंबर, वेरी यूजफुल नंबर, used for the purpose of determining fair value of a company, especially when you are making a comparison with another company. बट अब इस अगर आप स्क्रीन पर देखें और अगर आप देखें कि ये डॉक्यूमेंट जो आपके साथ में शेयर कर रहा हूँ, दिस डॉक्यूमेंट इज कमिंग फ्रॉम द रेड हेरिंग प्रॉस्पेक्टस ऑफ द कंपनी। तो क्या ईपीएस, क्या पीई का नंबर दिया है, और पीई का नंबर दिया है बेस्ड ऑन द ईपीएस फॉर फाइनेंशियल ईयर 2020, ईपीएस इज डॉट। That means this number is not available and obviously this number will be negative. This number can obviously not be positive because अगर आपकी earning per share itself is negative, even if your price is positive, you will still arrive at a number which either is infinity or it is negative. So वो number है ही नहीं। अब वो नंबर भी नहीं है और पहला ईपीएस का नंबर नेगेटिव है और पीई का नंबर दिया नहीं है, और उसके बाद में इंडस्ट्री ग्रुप पीई ना उसके बारे में कोई इंफॉर्मेशन अवेलेबल नहीं है, और विच इज़ अंडरस्टूड बिकॉज अ कंपनी लाइक जोमेटो, कंपनी लाइक पेटीएम विल हैव अ वेरी डिफिकल्ट सिचुएशन टू फाइंड आउट अ कंपेरेबल कंपनी। तो इंडस्ट्री पीयर ग्रुप फाइंड आउट करना उनके लिए मुश्किल होगा, जो कि समझ सकते हैं, बट इट इज़ नेगेटिव। अब ये सारे बेसिस के ऊपर कंपनी ने अपनी प्राइस डिसाइड करी। और एक और इन्फॉर्मेशन आपको शेयर कर दूं, और वो है कि क्वांटिटेटिव डिटेल्स पे और क्या नंबर शेयर किया है। तो क्वांटिटेटिव में रिटर्न ऑन नेटवर्थ। सो हाउ इज द रिटर्न ऑन नेटवर्थ ऑफ दिस कंपनी फॉर द ईयर 2018 इट इज -8.6%, for the year 2019 it is -37%, for the year 2020 it is -114%. So you can see that the return on net worth is also negative for this company for past 3 years, right, for the past 3-4 years. Now earning per share is negative, P number is not available, रिटर्न ऑन नेटवर्थ इज ऑल्सो नेगेटिव, एंड उसके बाद में नेट एसेट वैल्यू पर इक्विटी शेयर, दैट फिगर इफ यू सी दैट देयर इज सम होप, एंड दैट इज द नेट एसेट वैल्यू पर इक्विटी शेयर फॉर द ईयर 20 इट वाज 4.48 and for the year 2020 it is 11.77. And then comparison of the accounting ratios with the listed industry peers, जहाँ पर उन्होंने साफ साफ बोल दिया है कि there are no listed companies in India where business portfolio is comparable with that of our business and comparable to our scale of operations, which is understood and no issues on that. Now the question is, with all this quantitative and qualitative information, is it really possible, or even if it is possible, किस बेसिस पर आपने ये इंफॉर्मेशन को क्वांटिफाई किया और आपने उसकी इश्यू प्राइस ₹1 के शेयर की इश्यू प्राइस निकाली 71 रुपीज़, वो आपको एक्सप्लेन करना चाहिए और वो आपने एक्सप्लेन किया नहीं है, एंड दैट इज़ द बिगेस्ट चैलेंज एज फार एज द वैल्यूएशन इज कंसर्न। as far as the valuation is concerned. And number two, when you look at this red herring prospectus and the details out there, nowhere it says that valuation or the fair value of this company has been ascertained or done by a registered valuer, which is the mandatory requirement as per section 247 of the Companies Act. So friend, this is about your Zomato. Let's look at another company, and another company that we look at is Paytm. So again, in case of Paytm, so here is the basis for Paytm, and how does it read? And please note, this is again something very interesting. How does it read? It says the price band and the offer price will be determined by our company and the investor selling shareholders, investors selling shareholders in consultation with the JGC BRLM and the BRLM on the basis of assessment of market demand for the equity shares offered through the book building process and the quantitative and qualitative factors as described below, which is same as like in case of Zomato. Now that is again, so if you look at the Companies Act, if you look at the valuation standards, if you look at the Ind AS 113, what they talk about? They talk about the basis for the valuation to be either income approach or to be the market approach or to be the cost or the asset approach. But how here is the valuation is being done? Again, the valuation here is being done based on the management and the company, the investors selling shareholders and their merchant bankers, and that is how the valuation is being done. Again, what is the basis for the valuation? Some qualitative factors, and I'm not disputing whatever qualitative factors they have given. Those qualitative factors will definitely be right, there is no question about it. But how these qualitative factors can be quantified, and issue price, and I'm sure all of you would know, issue price of Paytm was 2,150, and the impact was so bad that within 2-3 days, within the same week as the issue of Paytm, the stock price came tumbling by 39%. So the question is, what kind of valuation was done? What kind of fair valuation was done कि एक हफ्ते के अंदर 2,150 रुपए का शेयर 40% से नीचे आ जाए, 39% से नीचे आ जाए? What is the strength of that valuation? What is the sanctity of that valuation? And that is the question. So they are talking in terms of the qualitative factor, which of course we will accept as to what these qualitative factors are. Now look at the quantitative factors which have been considered by the Paytm for the purpose of arriving at huge premium at which they came out with the public issue. So what are their quantitative factors, and let's look at them. So the quantitative factor number one is your same as in case of Zomato, and this of course will be the trend with all the companies. So number one is the basic and diluted earning per equity share, and how much it is. So for the year 2019, and please pay attention, for the year 2019 the EPS was negative, and that was 75 rupees per share. For the year 20 it was negative, it was 29%, and for the year 21 it was again negative, and that was minus 28%. So you can see that the earning per share of this company is negative. So the first quantitative information that has been used by the company for deciding huge premium on the issue of the IPO is negative, right? And let's look at as to what is the PE ratio. So obviously PE ratio is not given because it is not available, but they have just given the information, and that's how it is. Look at the industry PE ratio, again of course same answer as earlier, and the return on net worth. So how is the return on net worth? And remember, the return on net worth is for the year 2019 it is negative, minus 73%. For the year 20 it is again negative, minus 35%. And for the year 21 it is again negative, minus 26%. So tell me, if the company is giving a negative return on equity, and which is 26%, 35%, 73%, what stretch of imagination one can reach to the valuation of this company share to 2,150? And that is where the whole problem lies. That means what? And again here you can see there is no reference as to these valuations or this fair issue price has been done by a registered valuer, which is a statutory requirement, mandatory requirement as far as the Companies Act is concerned. So these figures are negative. Now net asset value of course is positive for the year 21, which is 108, and this of course can be appreciated, but again the NAV of 108 obviously cannot justify a huge premium of or issue price of 2150. So this, friends, is your Paytm. Now let's look at the one more example, and we now look at the third example, and that is LIC. How has LIC done the pricing of the company? So the basis for offer price, and this is something very interesting, because when you read it very carefully, you will come to the conclusion that everywhere the language is same. Everywhere the language is same. So what LIC or Paytm or Zomato, what they should have done, they should have used the discounted cash flow following what is given in Ind AS 113, following what is given in the valuation standards, following what is specified in the Companies Act. But what they have done, they have used a recourse which is available to them in the SEBI regulations, and using that and ignoring the other aspects, they came out with a huge price. So what is the basis used by the LIC for the purpose of determining the fair price? And it says the offer price will be determined by our corporation and the selling shareholders, President of India acting through the Ministry of Finance, Government of India, which of course is the regulatory or statutory disclosure that has to be done, in consultation with the book running lead manager on the basis of assessment of market demand for the equity shares offered through the book building process. And you can see that this clause that we read here is same as was in case of Zomato and in case of the Paytm. Now again, so what the company is doing, they are sharing qualitative factors. And what are the qualitative factors that they are sharing? Number one, and which of course, as I said earlier, on the qualitative factor there is no dispute, because whatever the qualitative factors they would mention, and one would agree with them, because there is no reason as to why should they write something which may not be correct. So what are the qualitative factors which are given by the Life Insurance Corporation in their red herring prospectus for determining their fair price? And it is fifth largest life insurance globally, and the largest player in the fast growing and under penetrated Indian life insurance sector, understood. Trusted brand and a customer centric business model, understood. Cross cyclical product mix that caters to diverse consumer needs, understood. Presence across India through an omni-channel distribution network, understood. Harnessing technology capabilities to support customer connect, understood. Largest asset manager in India, understood. Robust risk management framework, one would feel yes, should be right. Highly experienced and qualified management team, distinguished board, and a strong corporate governance framework. And these are the qualitative factors that they have used for the purpose of determining the huge offer price that they came out with. Now let's look at as to what is the quantitative factor. Now quantitative factor, fortunately in case of LIC, at least are positive. And again, so what is the earning per share? And we can see for the year 19 it was 4.1, for the year 20 it was 4.29, and for the year it was 4.7. So at least in case of LIC, they have a positive earning per share, and that is because LIC of course is a profit making company, unlike Paytm and Zomato, which still continue to make losses. And P number they are not given, because that is because they would always give a price band in their prospectus. So ultimately the PE will depend as to finally what is the price at which the allotments are done, and that is the reason as to why the PE numbers are given in dot. Okay, so industry PE we can see here, because LIC of course has many many peers like SBI Life. So highest is 94.26 and lowest is 81.46 and average is 85.85. Return on net worth again in case of LIC is positive, and that is because LIC has been company for decades in operations and they have been making profits for all these years, and that is the reason their return on net worth of course is positive. And same is the case with the NAV. NAV is also positive, but remember the NAV that you can see here is quite minimal. It's just 10.3 rupees per equity share. So now this is what the LIC has used for the purpose of determining their issue price, and then of course they have given their comparison with the listed industry peers, and which one would of course take them as they are given. Now, so the basic question is what is the approach to be used for the purpose of valuation, and what is the approach that has been used for the purpose of valuation, and that is the reason as to why there are so huge differences in the issue price and the current trading price of these companies. Now the question is, friends, who are the gainers and who are the losers in case of most of these failed IPOs? Remember, as far as the promoters are concerned, they will be not at any loss. And why is that so? That is because when they will allot these shares to themselves in the early part of the organization, they would obviously allot these shares to themselves at the face value. Subsequently, you will have the venture capital funds coming in or the private equity funds coming in. They will also not be at a loss, and that is because the shares will be issued or allotted to the venture capital funds or to the private equity fund. Of course, will not be at the face value. They will certainly be at a premium. But remember, that premium is not going to be the same as what would be charged at the time of IPO. So they will perhaps pay a small amount of premium, but they would be able to sell these shares at a huge premium at the time of the IPO through the process of offer for sale. Anchor investor is the same case. Merchant bankers and the other intermediaries, remember, they also have nothing to lose. And why they do not have nothing to lose? And that is what all of you must do a little bit of research, and you would see all the merchant bankers for all these companies whose IPOs they have managed, the amount of professional fees that have been charged is phenomenal, is huge, and therefore merchant bankers have nothing to lose. So all these people have nothing to lose as far as the IPO is concerned. Who is the net loser? The net loser is the retail investor, and the retail investor loses his hard earned money, and remember, he has got no recourse whatsoever once he loses his money. So anyone can imagine how much loss the retail investors must have suffered as a result of these failed IPOs, and also the confidence in the share market. So सवाल यह है कि is this fair to the investors, let alone to the retail investors? And another question is, can these companies take recourse under the premise that valuation is subjective exercise? तो क्या ये कंपनी ये बोल सकती हैं कि भाई valuation is a subjective exercise? Now please remember, if somebody gives that argument is going to be completely wrong. And why that argument is completely wrong? And that is because valuation may be subjective, no doubt about it, but there are certain standards that you have to follow. There are certain approaches that you have to follow. There are valuation standards that you have to follow. There is an accounting standards that you have to follow. So if you follow those standards, the subjectivity is minimized to a large extent, and therefore anyone trying to take the excuse that these valuations are a subjective exercise, in my view, will not hold water. Number two, can the judicial pronouncements come to the rescue in all such cases? And again, my answer is no. And why my answer is no? And that is because, first of all, let's have a look at as to what are the judicial pronouncements given by different judicial authorities on valuation. So you have a case on Dinesh Brislal Lakhani versus Parker Davis. Another case is Brook Bond Lipton India. And third is on Dr. Mrs. Renuka Datla versus Solvay Pharmaceuticals. Fourth is Mihir Mafatlal versus Mafatlal Industries. Fifth is Hindustan Lever Employees Union versus Hindustan Lever Limited, and sixth is GL Sultania and another versus the SEBI. So these are the prominent judicial pronouncements with respect to the valuations of companies. But now when you closely read these judicial pronouncements, you will come to the conclusion and you will realize that all these judicial pronouncements favor the valuations done by a competent valuation professional. तो जितने भी ये केसेस जिसकी हम बात कर रहे हैं, तो अगर आप ये केसेस को पढ़ के देखेंगे तो आपको मालूम पड़ेगा कि सुप्रीम कोर्ट हो, हाई कोर्ट हो या फिर और कोई सेबी हो, तो उन्होंने जो जजमेंट दिया है, उन्होंने क्या जजमेंट दिया है? उन्होंने जजमेंट दिया है कि अगर किसी भी केस में वैल्यूएशन ऑफ द शेयर्स हैज बीन डन बाय अ कॉम्पिटेंट अकाउंटेंट और कॉम्पिटेंट प्रोफेशनल, in that case we as the judicial authority have got nothing to intervene in that matter. That valuation has to be taken as it is. But remember, there are two things that we have to understand, and what those two things are: number one, where is professional valuation professional or the professional in case of IPOs. तो ये जो तीन IPOs की जिसकी मैंने चर्चा करी, and I am sure same is the case with all the other IPOs as well. So in case of all these IPOs where these shares today are trading at a discount, you would see that the valuation or the determination of the offer price has not been done by a valuation professional or has not been done by a competent professional. Meaning what? Meaning none of these six judicial pronouncements will be applicable to any of these IPOs. And the reason why these will not be applicable to any of these IPOs, and the reason number one is because these judicial pronouncements refer to the valuation done by a accountant or by a professional. In case of the IPOs that we are talking about, and as we saw, in none of those IPOs there was a use, at least it is not mentioned in the prospectus, there was no use of a valuation professional. What it has said that the fair price will be determined by the company in consultation with the selling shareholders and in consultation with the merchant banker. So number one, there is no valuation professional, and therefore these legal pronouncements will not come to the rescue of these companies which came out with the IPO. Number two, all these pronouncements that we are discussing are in the context of अदर देन IPOs. तो आप देखेंगे ये 6 केसेस जिसकी हम बात कर रहे हैं, ये सारे के सारे, इसमें से एक भी कोई केस ऐसा नहीं है जो कि IPO से रिलेटेड हो, यानी कि किसी आदमी ने IPO की प्राइस को चैलेंज किया हो और वो IPO की प्राइस के लिए जुडिशियल अथॉरिटी ने वर्डिक्ट पास किया हो कि ये जो IPO की प्राइस कंपनी ने डिसाइड करी है उसमें हम इंटरवीन नहीं करेंगे, ऐसा कोई भी जुडिशियल प्रोनाउंसमेंट नहीं है. एंड दैट इज बिकॉज ऑल दीज जुडिशियल प्रोनाउंसमेंट दैट वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट, दे पर्टेन टू अदर देन IPOs, and therefore it, in my view, it would not be possible to take recourse by any of these companies under the judicial pronouncements. Now the question is, should this be stopped? Can this be stopped? And if yes, then how? तो सवाल ये है कि क्या ये जो तरीका, ये जो कंपनियां IPO लेके आती हैं और फेयर प्राइस को डिटरमिन करने का इनका जो तरीका है, दैट इट विल बी डिसाइडेड बेस्ड ऑन द डिमांड ऑफ द शेयर्स बाय द कंपनी in consultation with the selling shareholders in case if there are, or with the merchant bankers. Now should this methodology used by the companies coming out with IPOs, should this be continued? Does it have a base? Is it not in line with the contradiction of what the standard norms are? And that is what we need to find out. So can this be stopped? If yes, then how? So number one, proper valuation methods as prescribed under the valuation standards as well as Ind AS 113 should be used. तो देखिए, accounting standards are the legal documents as per the Companies Act. If the accounting standards are the legal documents as per the Companies Act, then of course those accounting standards have to be followed, have to be adhered to. The valuation standards are brought out, and they are brought out under the authority of the statute. So if these valuation standards have been brought out, then obviously those valuation standards should be adhered to. And why they should be adhered to? That because that is the purpose. The purpose of valuation standards is to standardize, is to remove the arbitrariness in the valuation. So that is point number one. Point number two, full quantified disclosure as to how the issue price has been arrived at should be made in RHP and all other documents. तो ये खाली अर्निंग पर शेयर का फिगर दे दिया, पी का फिगर दे दिया, नेव का फिगर दे दिया, रिटर्न ऑन नेटवर्थ का फिगर दे दिया और कुछ क्वालिटेटिव फैक्टर्स दिखा दिए और बोल दिया कि जो ऑफर प्राइस है इट इज़ टू बी डिटरमिन्ड बाय द कंपनी इन कंसल्टेशन विद द सेलिंग शेयर होल्डर्स and the merchant banker. Is that good enough? And the answer is no. The answer is absolutely no. And why absolute no? Because कोई भी डॉक्यूमेंट जिसके बेसिस पे कोई आदमी इन्वेस्ट करने वाला है, दैट डॉक्यूमेंट हैज़ टू बी कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव, दैट डॉक्यूमेंट हैज़ टू बी transparent, that document has to be transparent. So that is number two that has to be done, and that is the red herring prospectus in my view should make complete disclosure. Number three, accountability needs to be fixed for excessive aberrations in IPO price vis-a-vis परफॉर्मेंस ऑन दी स्टॉक एक्सचेंजेस. तो अगर किसी कंपनी का शेयर 10% से नीचे चला जाए इट इज़ अंडरस्टूड, लेकिन किसी कंपनी का शेयर 30% से 40% से 70% से 90% के डिस्काउंट पर अगर ट्रेड हो रहा है तो कुछ तो अकाउंटेबिलिटी फिक्स करना बहुत ज़रूरी है. और क्यों ज़रूरी है? बिकॉज द सफरर, द विक्टिम इन दिस होल प्रोसेस इज द रिटेल इन्वेस्टर, and unfortunately that retail investor does not have any recourse to any action that he can take. Now, so what should be done? What should be done so as to ensure that this anomaly or this situation where the issue price and the ruling price are at a huge discount, क्या इसको बंद करा जा सकता है? और अगर इसको बंद करा जा सकता है तो उसके लिए क्या करना चाहिए? सो इन माई व्यू, नंबर वन, इफ प्रॉपर वैल्यूएशन मैथडोलॉजी इज यूज्ड, likelihood of such fiasco will reduce to a large extent. कहने का मतलब क्या है? कहने का मतलब ये है कि जब SEBI Regulation 6(1) talks in terms of certain eligibility criteria for any company to come out with a issue IPO at a premium, and it talks in terms of a net tangible assets worth 3 crore. It talks about net worth of 1 crore. It talks about average operating profit of 15 crores in last 3 years. अगर इतना मिनिमम रिक्वायरमेंट एक नॉर्मल कंपनी के लिए है तो जस्ट बिकॉज एक कंपनी बुक बिल्डिंग प्रोसेस को यूज़ करके आईपीओ लेके आ रही है तो इसका मतलब उस कंपनी को कुछ भी प्रीमियम चार्ज करने का ऑफर दे, अपॉर्चुनिटी देना, ऑन व्हाट बेसिस इट कैन बी जस्टिफाइड, on what basis it can be justified. And please remember, and this is what you must note, so even in case of the book building process, now what is done in case of book building process, it is not that the shareholders are told that you decide the price. It does not happen that way. What happens is the company will give you a band and then you have to determine the price within that band. Meaning what? Meaning a range has already been given to you. And I am sure if you do the research you will find out कि जब से ये बुक बिल्डिंग का प्रोसेस आया तब से लेके आज तक जितनी भी कंपनियों ने बुक बिल्डिंग प्रोसेस के थ्रू आईपीओ किया होगा, मुझे नहीं लगता है कि कोई भी कंपनी ऐसी होगी जिसका कि अलॉटमेंट ऑन दी लोअर साइड पे हुआ हो. इट वुड ऑलवेज बी ऑन दी हाई एंड साइड ऑफ द रेंज. एंड देयरफॉर गिविंग एन अपॉर्चुनिटी टू डिटरमिन the fair value or fair price on such a random basis is completely unwarranted, and it will keep on causing heartburn and the financial losses to the retail investor. So that is point number one. proper valuation methodology is used. That means follow what is given in the valuation standards, follow what is given in the Indian Ind-AS 113, and then you will have no challenge. Point number 2, IPO valuation to be based on discounted cash flow method. Please understand what is value and what is valuation. Value is utility of an asset. Utility of an asset. So only when an asset has a utility, it has a value. If the asset has no utility, it has no value. So अगर किसी कंपनी में शेयर इन्वेस्ट करके अगर मैं 15-20 साल तक लॉस ही कमाने वाला हूँ, what is the utility of this company for me? And therefore, what is the value of this company for me? And therefore, what needs to be done at point number 2, and that is IPO valuation should be based on discounted cash flow method only. And why discounted cash flow method only? Because you will do the cash flow projections. Which obviously got to be the realistic. You will use a discounted, you will use a cost of capital, which of course will have to be justified. And remember, both these numbers will need to be validated by a valuation professional who is registered valuation professional. So use the discounted cash flow method. And why use the discounted cash flow method? Please remember, there are many reasons. जब एक कंपनी डिस्काउंटेड कैश फ्लो बनाती है तो याद रखिए वो उस कंपनी को फेयर वैल्यू डिटरमिन करने में ही यूजफुल नहीं होगा. वो कैश फ्लो स्टेटमेंट जो कंपनी बनाएगी वो कंपनी की फ्यूचर प्लानिंग भी देगा. सो अगर एक कंपनी अगले 15-20 साल का कैश फ्लो स्टेटमेंट बनाती है तो कंपनी को मालूम पड़ता है कि कहाँ मुझे पैसा कम पड़ने वाला है, कहाँ मुझे पैसा ज़्यादा होने वाला है. So that is why it is always better. It should be it is already mandatory. It is already imperative. It is necessary. If we look at Ind-AS 113, it very clearly says level 1 input, level 2 input, level 3 input. And what is level 3 input? Level 3 input is using the discounted cash flow, using the unobservable data, and that is using the discounted cash flow method. So that's point number 2. Point number 3, give full information in the RHP and not just the dots. So अब आपने जैसे अगर ये अडॉप्ट होता है और सिस्टम चेंज होता है तो it should not be that the valuation has been done by a registered valuer and this is the amount. No, give the details as to how have you arrived at the valuations that you have arrived at. So that's your point number 3. Give full disclosure and not merely the dots. Number 4, we understand it. IT department allows 10% difference in the advance tax payment. Beyond that, there is a penalty. So इसका मतलब क्या है? इसका मतलब है कि जब एक कंपनी एडवांस टैक्स भरती है और जो कंपनी का एक्चुअल जो टैक्स लायबिलिटी निकलती है, अगर उस दौर में 10% से कम का डिफरेंस है, देन देयर आर नो क्वेश्चंस आस्क्ड. लेकिन अगर द डिफरेंस बिटवीन द एडवांस टैक्स पेड and the actual tax liability of the company is more than 10%, then company has to pay penal interest. Same is the case with the SEBI. So we all know under the SEBI regulations, the listed companies are required to make disclosures of the quarterly results, half yearly results, and so on and so forth. And again there under the SEBI regulations, there is a provision. And what is the provision? The provision is SEBI allows 10% variance in financial disclosures. That means अगर कोई कंपनी क्वार्टरली रिजल्ट्स डिक्लेयर कर रही है, हाफ ईयरली रिजल्ट डिक्लेयर कर रही है, एनुअल रिजल्ट डिक्लेयर कर रही है और उन रिजल्ट्स में और जो एक्चुअल में फाइनली जो रिजल्ट बने अगर उसमें 10% तक का फ़र्क है, वेरिएंस है, तो नो क्वेश्चंस आस्क्ड. लेकिन अगर 10% से ज़्यादा का फ़र्क है, देन ऑफ कोर्स दोज कंपनीज विल बी सब्जेक्टेड टू questioning as to why there is such a big difference between what they disclosed and what actually turned out to be. So that is point number 3. अब ये दोनों चीज़ हो सकती हैं. अगर income tax department can have a provision of 10% limit, if the SEBI can have the provision for 10% variance, then why not the same thing can also be done in case of the IPOs also. That means what? That means in valuation of IPOs, a reasonable downside limit should be fixed by the regulators by which the actual listing price can slide by. तो अगर एक कंपनी IPO लेके आ रही है और उसका प्रोविजन कर सकते हैं कि 10% तक अगर ये नीचे जाता है लिस्टिंग के बाद में और ये अगले 1 साल में, 6 महीने में, 3 महीने में, 4 महीने में, तो कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है. लेकिन अगर ये स्लाइड होता है by more than 10, 30%, 40%, and by the way Piramal Pharma is another company which got listed recently, and the issue, and that share has again slashed by 48%. Another latest example of Piramal Pharma, 48% से इसकी जो IPO प्राइस थी वो आज कम हो गई within couple of days of listing of that company. So make a provision. ठीक है, 10% 12% तक अगर प्राइस कम होती है, no question asked to the management, no question asked to the merchant banker. But if the price is sliding by more than 10%, 15%, 20%, 30%, then there has to be some questioning. Somebody, somewhere, responsibility has to be fixed. Somebody's accountability has to be fixed. Somebody has to take a responsibility. You just cannot take a figure, issue the shares, make money, and let the retail investors suffer. So that is the third thing. There is a need to make provision for questioning of the merchant banker, questioning of the managements of the company, promoters of the company, if there is a huge discount in the issue price of these company. Number four or number 6, if difference is more than that limit, then the management, so this is what I have told you already, so अगर difference बहुत ज़्यादा है तो वो in that case there has to be responsibility fixed, there has to be accountability fixed, and people need to be questioned as to why it has gone wrong and what has gone wrong, why it has gone wrong. Now, so how will discounted cash flow method ensure that the IPO valuation is fair, right? So क्या बेसिस है जिसके आधार पर हम कह सकते हैं कि अगर डिस्काउंटेड कैश फ्लो मेथड यूज़ करेंगे तो जिस तरह के एवरेशंस, जिस तरह के वेरिएंसेस, जिस तरह के डिफरेंसेस इश्यू प्राइस और ट्रेडिंग प्राइस में आ रहे हैं, उस तरह के डिफरेंसेस नहीं आएंगे। ऐसा हमारा क्या बेसिस है, किसकी बेसिस हम कह सकते हैं? सो फ्रेंड्स, incidentally, discounted cash flow method is the most objective, accurate, reliable, dependable, and realistic method of valuation, as it provides intrinsic value of a business or a security, and it is easy also to use. सो कॉन्ट्ररी टू द मिथ, जैसा कि बहुत सारे लोगों को लगता है कि डिस्काउंटेड कैश फ्लो मेथड से वैल्यूएशन करना मुश्किल है, द फैक्ट इज it is the easiest of all the methods. Not only it is easiest of all the methods, but it is also most objective, accurate, reliable, dependable, and realistic method of valuation. So and that means what? That means what it gives you. The discounted cash flow method gives you the intrinsic value. Intrinsic value based on what? Intrinsic value based on the cash that this company will generate over its life. So what can be more concrete as far as the value is concerned than the cash, and that is why the discounted cash flow method will take care of all these wide variations that we see in the issue price of a company and the listing price of a company and the subsequent slide in the listed price also of the company. फ्रेंड्स, मैं आपको बताऊं, अगर आप कोटेड प्राइस को भी अगर आप देखें और जब आप थोड़ा सा रिसर्च करें तो आपको मालूम पड़ेगा कि कोटेड प्राइस इज़ फाइन. कोटेड प्राइस ऑफ कोर्स इज़ मार्केट ड्रिवन, and it is market driven, and it is for that particular moment. So quoted price of course can be taken as the basis, no doubt about it, but the comparable price, the comparable method for valuation, I am not sure as to how dependable, how reliable it can be, because when you compare companies, you will never find two companies identical anywhere in the world. So comparable method has got many limitations as far as determining the fair value or determining the issue price or the fair price of the company's share. But discounted cash flow, it takes into account the cash that is what this company is going to generate. So cash, that is what this company is going to generate. So cash is the most authentic value of any organization. Please remember, I can simply quote you very quickly. So जब भी कोई कंपनी को टेक ओवर करता है, याद रखिए, when Adanis or Ambanis or Mittals, whenever they are acquiring any company anywhere, please remember, they are not interested in the land of that company, they are not interested in the building of the company, they are not interested in the plant and machinery of the company, they are not interested in the inventory of that company, they are not interested in the employees of that company. Then what are they interested in before they take a decision to acquire a company? They are interested in what is the कैश जनरेटिंग कैपेसिटी ऑफ दैट कंपनी. अगर इस कंपनी को मैं टेक ओवर करता हूं तो ये कंपनी आगे आने वाले सालों में मुझे कितना कैश जनरेट करके देगी, एंड दैट इज द ड्राइविंग फैक्टर फॉर एनीवन टू टेक अ डिसीजन अबाउट द एक्विजिशन. So same has to be also understood in the context of IPO. So what is the most reliable figure for the purpose of determining value? And that is cash. Only thing is, while computing the projected cash flow, enough and adequate precautions need to be taken that the cash which is the projected cash flow, the future cash flow which are computed or which are created or which are compiled, now those future cash flows got to be as realistic as possible, and that is where we have to be totally honest and ensure that whatever projections, future profitability projections that we are making, future cash flow projections that we are making, they are most authentic, they are most accurate, or they are as accurate as they can be. Plus, these projected cash flow will have to be validated by a registered valuer, and I'm sure as a registered valuer, the registered valuer, following the ethics and the professional standards, will ensure that the cash flows which are used for the purpose of valuation of this company are as accurate as possible. So that's number one. Number two, of course, you will need to determine what is the cost of capital. And then again, in case of determining of the cost of capital, again the precaution will need to be taken to ensure that the cost of capital that is arrived at is as realistic as possible. Why? Because only when your projected cash flow are accurate, only when your cost of capital is accurate, then only you would be able to arrive the value based on the discounted cash flow, which is as dependable, as reliable, as accurate, as realistic as possible. So that is how the discounted cash flow will ensure that the IPO valuations are fair. One more question or one more argument that somebody can give: how to compute cash flow for a loss-making company or loss-making startup, and which is the case with all these IPOs that we are talking about, barring companies like LIC. So how do you do the computation of cash flow for a loss-making company? Remember, cash flow computation in case of a loss-making company is not also a challenge. And why is not also a challenge? Because ultimately you have to do the projections for next 20-30 years depending on what you think is the explicit forecast period of this company and what you think is the terminal period of this company. So depending on the judgment of yours, which of course has to be validated by many other stakeholders, so you decide as to what is the explicit forecast period for this company and what is the terminal period for this company. So हो सकता है इनिशियली ये कंपनी लॉस करेगी तो कंपनी का जो कैश फ्लो होगा वो नेगेटिव होगा तो उसका जो प्रेजेंट वैल्यू है वो नेगेटिव होगी, ठीक है. लेकिन जब से ये कंपनी पॉजिटिव कैश जनरेट करना शुरू करेगी उस समय से इस कंपनी का जो कैश फ्लो है वो पॉजिटिव हो जाएगा, एंड यूजिंग द डबल टू स्टेज डिस्काउंटिंग मॉडल यू विल स्टिल बी एबल टू अराइव एट द present value of the entire company for the entire life, for the entire cash flow, and therefore there is no difficulty even in case of computing projected cash flow for a company which is loss making. Now, is it possible to back every valuation with cash flow? So अब ये मेन सवाल है कि क्वेश्चन ये है कि ठीक है हम बात कर रहे हैं that every IPO should be valued based on the discounted cash flow. सवाल ये है कि क्या ये प्रैक्टिकली पॉसिबल है, और the answer is yes, it is very much possible. Number one, it has to be done. Number two, cash is the prime indicator of value. Cash is the prime indicator of value for any company, new company, old company, not so old company. Cash ultimately is the prime indicator as to what is the value of this company. Number 3, every company should be able to prepare cash flow for future. Paytm भी अपना cash flow बना सकती है, Zomato भी अपना cash flow बना सकती है, and why can't they do? Rather they should do it. They should do it. And why they cannot? No company can take the argument our business model is very complex, and since our business model is very complex, it is not possible for us to put the cash flow in place. Since it is not possible for us to put the cash flow in place, and that is why we cannot do the evaluation based on the discounted cash flow. And I am sure you will agree that this can be most avoidable argument that can be given by anyone. As a company, as a professionally managed company which is going to use the public money for running its operations, if you cannot prepare the cash flow of yours for the life of the company, what can you do? How does one get a confidence in the company and its management? So this is absolutely this argument will never hold water, that in case of certain companies, because of their complex business models, it would not be possible for them to prepare the cash flow. So that's your every company should be able to prepare cash flow for future in any case, including a company like Zomato, company like Nykaa, company like Piramal Pharmacy, or a company like Zomato. Preparation of cash flow is in any case a mandatory requirement for every business to run smoothly and professionally. और ये बात हम सभी जानते हैं. तो कोई भी कंपनी है, उस कंपनी को अपना पूरे साल का प्लान बनाना ही पड़ता है और उसको लॉन्ग रेंज प्लानिंग करनी ही पड़ती है. तो जब वो कंपनी लॉन्ग रेंज प्लानिंग करेगी, एंड दैट लॉन्ग रेंज प्लान will automatically incorporate the cash flow also, and that is how it is possible to make the cash flow. Preparing profitability and cash flow also helps in bringing clarity about the roadmap of the business. So when you make the cash flow statement, it not only gives you an idea as to what is going to be your intrinsic value using the discounted cash flow method, but that plan that you would prepare will also serve as a purpose of a roadmap of your company. Number 6, value is quantification of utility of an asset in monetary terms, and that is what value is all about. Cash flow brings clarity to the company as to from where the cash is going to come and where the cash is going to go and for how long, and that is why all the more there is a need for you to prepare the cash flow statement. And finally, application of discounted cash flow is always possible in every situation requiring valuation. So friends, this is all that I thought I would share with you as part of my session, and these are the reasons for which I would think that every IPO should be valued based on what has been given in the Companies Act, based on what is given in the Ind AS 113, based on what is given in the valuation standards. No company should be, every company that has to do the valuation, there has to be a concrete basis for the valuation. You cannot just write 2 words that we will determine the fair price based on the demand, because then it becomes unfair. It becomes unfair to the retail investor. So let me throw it open to all of you for question and answer session, and whatever your questions may be, I would be very happy to take them. Thank you so much. Thank you.